A nightmare woke him up. Frightened by his mother's bedtime story, he searched for his sister's comfort. But she was nowhere to be found. There once was a girl who snuck out of her bedroom window at night, even though her mother had told her not to. She went into the forest, and at first it welcomed her with warmth and a promise of adventures. But soon the forest seemed to grow colder and darker. The girl was afraid, and she wanted to go home, but Bramble crawled around her arms and legs, and she could not get away. And the girl was never seen again. That is what happens when you do not listen to your mother. Especially you, Lilymoor, their mother had said before kissing them goodnight. The darkness outside scared him. But not being with his sister scared him even more. A light in the dark. A symbol of hope. A spark of courage. What do you have there? Lilymoor asked. It glimmers beautifully. Together, they tumbled down deeper and deeper through the old ruin. Follow me, little brother. I will protect you, Lilymoor said. Wanted to find Lilymoor and go home. But to do that, he had to find where the big troll had taken her. Lemus might be big, but he had a warm stone heart. all he longed for was a friend. His face scared away most. He had survived the night, but just barely. At least he had found the stone again. And it felt like it was his sister's way of telling him he was on the right path.
Den blomstertid nu kommer med lust och fägring stor. Du nalkas ljuva sommar då gräs och gröda gror. Med blid och livlig värma till allt som varit död. Säg solen strålar när det rika örtens ängar och lundens gröna träd. Det skola oss påminna, låt säga Herren Gud. Min själ upphöj Guds ära, stäm upp din glädjesång.
The land was once a peaceful kingdom, with the great king. Now, his image embodied the darkness that had drowned the world in Bramble. Lemus would always look after his only friend. Olle felt a chill as he saw the warnings for desperate mothers carrying their infants. They pleaded with them not to carry out the unspeakable acts they had set their minds to. Olle had been too late. At least he could give the child a proper burial, so that it would not become another dark soul. There was a light in the darkness. Guilt and sorrow weighed him down, but the warm glow felt comforting. The Lichtgubbe was older than the mountain, almost as old as the world itself. He was the keeper of secrets, the gatherer of stories. Long ago, there was a peaceful kingdom that lacked an heir to the throne. King Niels and his queen Magdalena had waited for a long time, and at last she was expecting a child. She gave birth to the longed-for son, and they named him Ulrich. But suddenly, doctors crowded around the queen's bed. Magdalena succumbed to the labors of childbirth. The love of his life was gone. Weighed down by sorrow, King Niels approached his autumn. Meanwhile, the prince was the only thing that kept the darkness at bay in his heart. One day, Prince Ulrich fell ill. The doctors tried everything, but he grew weaker and weaker. They told King Niels about a mythical flower that witches were rumored to use to heal any illness. King Niels searched the whole kingdom for the flower to no avail, and his campaign soon became a gruesome witch hunt. His path was lined with the witches he had slain, but the flower was nowhere to be found. Ulle wished he could stay in the warm light of the library, but he knew that he needed to reach the mountain and find Lillemor. Suddenly, he heard a familiar voice. "Follow me, little brother. I will protect you." The villagers grew more and more desperate and burned down a large area of the forest in the hope of finding this strange, beautiful woman, but to no avail. The villagers had lost themselves. They killed their own mothers and daughters. They burned down more of the forest that had served them with resources. Then one night, when the moon shone at its brightest, 5 brave men took matters into their own hands. They put on their coats and walked into the burnt forest to hunt for the woman with the dark hair. After a time, they saw the beautiful woman standing in a clearing. The men were instantly enchanted and followed her deep into the forest's heart. She was a shapeshifter that mimicked what men wanted to see in order to lure them away. When they were close enough to touch her, she transformed into something monstrous. She ripped their chests open, hung them up in the trees, and drew strange powers from their still beating hearts. And no one would ever see them again.
I am so in love with him. I cannot even describe it. It feels like he loves me too. Our village still tries to heal its wounds from the dark days, but at least me and my love survived and have each other. After the horrible witch hunt, we thought we were safe. We thought we would have peace. But then the plague came to our village. Feels like the plague is some kind of punishment for our sins. Maybe we deserve this. People say they have seen an old woman with a rake at night. Every house she passes, people inside get sick. I hope she does not come to my house. Every morning someone new has fallen ill, and shortly thereafter they die. We do not even dare to give them a proper funeral. It is horrible. The dead are rising from their graves, and they eat the ones left alive. I have locked myself in the house. I got separated from my love. I wish I could be with him. I hope I can meet him in the next life. I'm out of food, and the dead are right outside my door. I miss him so much.
overcome the darkness. He had reached the mountain. He could finally find his sister. As he reached the summit, Olle felt regret. He could not stop his sister from being taken. Regret that he could not stop the woman from drowning her child. Stood before him, and he wished he could ask their forgiveness. Exhausted, bloody, and at his wits' end, King Nils came to a witch's house on the outskirts of his kingdom. He fell to his knees, begging the witch to help cure his son, and she agreed. The witch explained that the flower held tremendous power that could only very carefully be used for good. The witch instructed he only use a single petal. Using the whole bloom would only invite death. Ulrich began to recover, but discontent at the royal line had grown in the kingdom, following King Nils' bloody campaign. The next day, King Nils found his son dead, and the last light holding his darkness at bay was snuffed out. Heartbroken, King Nils turned to the bloom which had promised life, and instead saw it as an escape from his suffering. The witch, having come to visit the king and the prince, looked at the nightmarish scene in despair. She raised a mountain on top of King Nils and shackled him using the same bramble that he let loose upon the kingdom. And to this day, the trolls still feed him as punishment for his evil deed. Bramble weakened, the Mountain King saw clearly for the first time in centuries. And what he saw reminded him of his beloved son. He would not lose him again. This time, King Niels would overcome the darkness. The source of the curse blossomed. King Niels tore the bramble rooted in his back and brought it all to an end. The only way to get to Lillemor was now up and in. Tuva had one last gift to give to Ole. With the Mountain King dead, his prison started to crumble. Look after his friend. A nightmare woke her up. Frightened by her memories, she searched for her brother's comfort. However, the darkness outside did not scare her. Because she knew she had her brother.